Before we get started with this episode, I have a few requests. Download the Talk Music Talk app. It is free for iPhone and Android, wherever you get your apps, or you can subscribe on iTunes or Google Play. Once you do, just leave a rating and or review in the store to help spread the word about the podcast. Second, share this episode on social media if you enjoy it. Facebook, Twitter, however you like to do it. It will help spread the word about the podcast. And finally, I am in the process of acquiring advertisers and sponsors, and I need your help. Just take a quick survey on my website at talkmusictalk.com/survey. Should take you 30 seconds or less, and it will be greatly appreciated. And now for today's show. Hello there. Welcome to episode 105 of Talk Music Talk with Boyce. I am Boyce. I am your podcasting host. Thank you so much for listening. Talk Music Talk is a weekly music interview podcast where I have long-form discussions with people who are connected to music from different genres and different backgrounds, musicians and music therapists, music journalists, singers and songwriters. And on episode 105, I had the pleasure of talking to Big Eater. Big Eater is the solo project of Matt Bachmann. Matt is a singer, a songwriter. He plays bass, piano, and a bunch of other instruments except for drums. He is based in Brooklyn, originally from Illinois. My introduction to Matt's music was In Between, which is the first full-length Big Eater release that came out late last year. And I will say that it is near perfect. It is melodic. It is indie, hazy, jazzy, alt, pop, rock type of thing. I hate describing music. It is a complete album full of great songs. We talk about the making of the album and the concept behind it. We discuss the next Big Eater album that is in the works, and we also talk about his other music projects. You get Matt's thoughts on digital music, learning to perform on stage. Also, a great tip that was given to him from a teacher about practicing, which I think could be helpful to anyone trying to achieve a goal. After the conversation, you will hear 3 songs from Matt: Lazy Days and Growing Up from the In Between album, and a TMT exclusive, Drive. It is a new song that Matt recorded at a table with me right across from him. You will love that also. 3 songs from Matt Bachmann, Big Eater. Here it is, without further ado, my conversation with Matt Bachmann, Big Eater, on Talk Music Talk. Enjoy. As I'm researching you online, okay. I couldn't find
anything.
I wasn't going to say anything. Not a lot.
Not a lot, yeah.
So definitely. I'm just going to start from
scratch, yeah.
From scratch. Okay, where are you from?
I grew up in Oak Park, Illinois, which borders the west side of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you get from Oak Park?
Yeah, so in Oak Park, I grew up playing music with a lot of friends there who live here. And there was one band we played in particular called The Dogs. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much a joke band when we started, but we just started taking it very seriously. Yeah. And we just always had made records when we all went off to college. We'd come back and make records in the summer. Mm-hmm. And eventually I just wanted to live with those guys. It's kind of a funny, so I grew up in Chicago. I went to school out in Washington State, in a school called Whitman College. And it's in the southeast corner of the state. So really close to Idaho and Oregon. And from there, after I graduated from there, I went and moved to the San Juan Islands, which is north of Seattle, and I was teaching music out there for a year. Then I moved to Seattle for about a year and a half, and then I came here. So,
why were The Dogs a joke?
They were a joke because what started with, I met one of my best friends when I was in 7th grade, named James Krivchenia. And we started a band with my other 2 friends, Joel and Mikey, called The Frogs. And we were, 7th graders. The 3 of us, besides James, all skateboarded. Mm-hmm. We were into emo music. Yeah. And we were good at I wasn't any good at playing bass, actually. I like joined the band because I needed someone had to play the bass.
Okay, so out of necessity.
Yeah, basically. I mean, definitely. And but you know, it was like Joel was like, he's the guitar player at our school, and Mikey was also like a very good guitar player, and James was like the drummer. But the Dogs, I mean, they started as because it rhymes with the Frogs. Okay. So. And like it was me, James, and our really close friend Pete Walters. We basically just switched instruments, you know. Pete was a really good guitar player, but he played drums. James played guitar. I still played bass because, yeah, it didn't really matter. And we would just make these really, like, songs that we found to be really silly. Like, they were mostly about going to Jewel Osco, which is, like, the local grocery store, and, like, getting Hot Pockets and eating them and stuff. Like odes to Jewel-Osco and just stupid things. Yeah.
So it was no emo? You weren't doing emo?
We weren't remotely emo. His friends aren't like, James is not like a super emo guy, which I appreciate. He used to make fun of me. He would just go like, emo. Like he would just like tease me for aligning myself with like what
Who were the emo people you were listening to?
You know, like, I really like Jets to Brazil. When I was younger, Built to Spill was probably like the first band that like I loved that I actually still love.
Yeah.
But it was just a real smattering of like listening. It was just like, you know, I think like in 7th grade, I was listening to like a lot of Jets to Brazil and this band. They're just like these like ska bands and stuff, like Flogging Molly and like Catch 22, Bouncing Souls.
Okay, I haven't heard of Jets to Brazil.
Jets to Brazil is like, they have this record called Orange Rhyming Dictionary. It was like really meant a lot to me. It's like some of the guys from Jawbreaker.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I actually think I think it's probably still on my computer. I just did a purge of like deleting lots of old music.
Okay,
I feel like,
off the computer?
Yeah, you know, let's clear up some space. Yeah. And like, it's just some stuff I probably don't need to listen to anymore, or I haven't listened to in a really long time. But I think they might have been in there. But.
Okay. I feel like I'm better at purging the physical stuff than files. Yeah. Like, I'll just keep MP3s that I'm never going to listen to.
Yeah. That's cool. I just was running out of space on the computer, and that's what I have most of space of. And I don't have a lot of physical stuff. I'm like in this, I feel like in my musical ownership is in such a weird time. Like, I feel like I existed in a weird time of like digital music where I like feel very precious about my library, which it sounds like they're all going to be corrupted soon by like Apple. But like I really care about my digital library, which is so weird because it's not physical at all. And like, I'm not someone who's like, it's funny because I make music. That's what I mainly do. But I don't really I think of digital music as I was like almost raised on it just being free. You know, we'd go to the library during the summers, just like every day, and we'd rent 10 new CDs and just burn them to our computer. My friend James, like, he used to sign up for BMG. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Where you pay for one CD.
I think 10. Everyone has done that.
Yeah, exactly. he actually signed up himself and then a fake brother.
Yeah, I do that.
It's great. I love that. But it was really important when we were like that age because I was like, dude, I just got like 7 Bob Dylan records. So it's like, whoa, this guy is wild. Yeah.
Which is we're recording this the day after his Nobel.
I know.
Prize,
I was really stoked about that. It was really funny. I babysit here, and I'm always just like have the radio on when I'm babysitting. It's the kid I'm babysitting now is like a 6-month-old, and they were just playing so many Dylan songs. I was just like singing them to like the little girl Lucy, and I was just like, oh man, this feels so good. It's just like, yeah.
Were you a big Dylan listener?
I was pretty obsessed. Yeah, when I was in high school, I had like a year where he was the only person I listened to. But my obsession, I mean, he's one of my favorites, and top guys, I guess, or top people, I should say. But I was always obsessed with his, just from like his first record through about Blonde on Blonde.
Okay.
And then I listened to like John Wesley Harding, Desire, and like Blood on the Tracks a lot. But I still don't know a lot of the later Dylan. And it's really fun to be around friends now who are just like, oh, dude, late Dylan's where it's at. It's like, what?
I like all that stuff too about Infidels.
Infidels.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah. So was bass the first instrument for you?
I started playing piano when I was pretty young. I was just like taking typical classical lessons. And I started playing trumpet like when, like I think it was like 4th grade. Like everyone picks an instrument, and I picked trumpet. And played. I played both of those to about 8th grade, and then I picked up the bass at like 7th grade. And kind of went with that till now, I guess. Okay.
Were those instruments of choice or parental decisions to play?
I guess they were probably both like some sort of choice, but I did like grow to resent both of them quite a bit. But I'm like, so
practicing?
Yeah, I was never very good at practicing, especially with piano. And but it's cool because I'm like so happy I did it for so long because it's so useful, and I write so much music on piano now, and I'm just getting to do all that and really, just learned a lot about music from it. I do a lot of music teaching, and it's always, I have this weird dichotomy in my brain when I think about it, because in like some ways it's like I didn't like what I was being taught at all, but in other ways it's so helpful to me now. And but the way I teach is very opposite. It's like, let's do what you want to do. Let's play like rock music, but I don't know how helpful it is to them later on.
It will serve them no purpose later.
Maybe. I mean, I purposely ignore like musical like jargon. And it's just like, well,
how did the classical stuff like help you later?
Well, learning to read music was it just added up in really funny ways, because learning to read music with piano, I learned how to read like bass and treble like fairly well. Trumpet, I was reading treble, and bass, I was reading bass. So I was always able to read fairly well. I'm not like a great sight reader or anything, but when I was in like high school and college, I played a lot of jazz music. Especially in college, I played a lot of jazz, and it was just helpful to be able to read, which led me into, and being able to read and understand it led me into just having I had like a simple understanding of music theory that kind of grew. And I tend to think very theoretically. I really liked math when I was a kid. So that stuff like always.
So you see the connection?
Yeah, I see the connection. It's like, it is really mathematical in so many ways. And it's just really helpful, and just been really helpful in playing music. Just like kind of knowing why things work in some ways, which can be like really unhelpful. I feel like when I'm writing music, I'm trying to always put myself in a situation where I can't like analyze it like theoretically.
Okay. When did you start writing?
Probably when I was like pretty young, just like write things on the piano. And just like, like young like boy, and like we were all very competitive. So it's like, oh, you're writing music, I'm gonna write music too. But I was just kind of always writing. It was just I just assumed it was something you did.
Okay. Were you like thinking about music career? Or is it a hobby still?
It was funny, like in the school that where I grew up, there was a lot of really great players there. It was a really big high school. It was like 4,000 kids.
Okay.
And there's a lot of really great players, and I wasn't a great player in high school. So I always loved music so much, but I always just assumed it's like, I'm not good enough to do this. And I kind of had that thought for like a while. I went to like liberal arts college and played a lot there. I think after like my freshman year, I was pretty lonely that year, and just listened to so much music and played just so much. And there's just, I feel like I don't even know I can't remember what exactly it was, but someone like, I feel like it was the music department at the school I went at too. It had this one just great jazz professor who was just like an awesome mentor for me. But in general, the department was like very backwards. It was just like very focused on like just like old classical music,
Okay.
like contemporary classical. It's like, is this even music? And it's like, it's just like kind of like, yeah, dumb.
And they sort of look down on anything outside of...
It was like jazz, which is like a music that's not really even in existence at this point. It's like, whoa, that's really pushing the lines. You know, you're swinging, and it's just like, I think I had some interaction with some classical professor where I just remember going to a summer. I was just like, God, like fuck that person. I'm gonna fucking get good and like prove this person like fuck you. And it's like that summer I started taking lessons with someone who really instilled this like practice routine where it just got into like just basically practicing every day and creating streaks. And it just like after I just practiced a ton and got a lot better. You
were practicing on bass or?
On bass,
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you then practicing a day?
So it's a really awesome, it's just, I'm just really lucky to have like a couple professors that were really, we're just teachers in my life. They were like really influential. But this one guy, Jason Patera, he had this program that it was basically, the way he described it is he would show you a picture of himself, and he used to be like this 400-pound guy, and he was like a piano teacher, and he had a student that, he was like, well, I'm going to be running a marathon next month. And Jason was like, yeah, me too. And the student kind of laughed. It's like, no, you aren't. There's no way you can do that. And he just talked about how he'd always wanted to be in shape. But he always did, the same thing would always occur where he would get a gym membership. He'd go the first day and just work so hard, go on every machine, just doing it all. Then he'd go the next day and he'd work, but he's pretty sore and like didn't quite do as much. And then the third day I was like, well, I could go to the gym or I could like not. He always never would. So he described this scenario where he got like this gym membership, and the first 7 days he went to the parking lot and he parked his car, and then he just left. And then the next 7 days he just went inside and looked at everyone, but didn't do anything. But by then it was just like he'd been going for 14 days. And it's just like about this idea of like creating habits. So I think when I started, the idea was like, you just need to practice 5 minutes a day. And practicing could just mean grabbing your vase, putting it in your hands, and just staring at it. But you could practice as much as you want. So it was just, I think it was like, so, but the idea was you're logging it all the time, and you're creating streaks. I remember like the streak I like started and had for like 390 days. And it was really fun. It was like, you got up to about practicing about an hour a day. I feel like the heavy practicers like do much more, but I just can't do it really. But it's fun. I was like really OCD about it. I'd go on trips and I'd bring my bass everywhere, and if I couldn't, I'd just bring a metronome and would just like clap along the things.
I guess like the important part is like the logging of it.
It was because you had to feel. His whole idea was like you have to feel proud of this thing, and you have to feel like, hey, if I don't want to do this, like, oh shit, I'm gonna kill this streak of like I've done this 110 days already. I don't want to end this streak.
For one day, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible, dude. Because I think also a lot of times we feel like you want to accomplish something that it's all or nothing. Like I got to practice 3 hours a day, or not.
Yeah, and I think that was always hard for me because like I'm just not. I think some people just can practice, are just so good at practicing. I like lived with some people here that just they practice all day, and it's just amazing. But like it's not really the way my mind works. I can't do it. It's always been pulling teeth in some extent. And I always it was always this thing where I was like, why can't I do this? It was always like kind of phrasing it to myself like, why am I falling short? Rather than like, I can do this. Like,
You never like get an answer when you ask, why can't I? Why am I not doing this? Why can't I do this?
Or I mean, I guess you can give yourself an answer because like you're not good enough. It's like, oh.
So what was the growth from that streak from before starting the streak to after?
I just got a lot better. And just like, Something I've always noticed about practicing, and I like don't practice really as much at all now. I basically just play music. So I mean, like, and not to say like, oh, I just show up to the gig and play, but like when I'm on my own, I'm never like really doing technical practicing anymore. Mostly because like I can't stand it. It's just not really the person I am. But the growth. Yeah, I got physically better, but also like a lot of confidence comes when you're practicing. Okay. I've noticed like it was something I really noticed like after kind of getting some distance from not practicing as much. It was like I'd feel so unconfident. I'd be like, oh, I haven't been playing. Like, oh my god, like I'm not. But it's just like so much confidence builds, and it was really necessary.
Okay, was that just the electric, or were you playing upright?
I was playing electric then. My sophomore year, I started playing upright, and I went pretty seriously at that for like about 4 years, which was cool. Which I had like a really funny ending point. When I was on the San Juans, I just had all day to practice, and I would play a lot, and I was playing a lot of like kind of jazz, and it just hit me at some point. It's like there's some of this music that I really like, and there's some of this music that I don't like, and like it just hit me as like I'm never gonna be a great upright player. You know, like I'll always like I'd like work so hard to just be passable in some ways. Yeah, it's a hard instrument.
What is the difference between both?
Well, so upright, there's no frets, so you have to worry about your intonation or being in tune at all times, which is so you have to develop an ear for hearing that, but you also have so much physical repetition to knowing where to press that's gonna have you in tune. Upright's a way more physical instrument. Yeah. If I took like a week vacation, I came back, my like fingers would have huge blisters after playing. It's funny to look at my fingers now. The calluses are like so much more like weaker than they like once were. They like used to be so beefy. It was so great.
But, so are you during this period of the practice, are you songwriting also?
Yeah, I was always like writing music. Yeah.
And how far off you graduate from school? How far are you from like releasing music on your own?
Well, it's funny the way that so in that band, the Dogs that we played in, the way we all wrote music and we brought it to the band. So I got very used to, I would write a song and then I would bring it to the band. But it's very funny the way we grew to performing them was our friend Pete would always sing the song. And I would write the song on guitar and singing it, but I wouldn't be doing any of that in the end product. And I often didn't write the lyrics to the songs I was writing. It was interesting. It's a really weird way of doing it.
So you'd write the vocal melodies, or
I would just like write the basic song, so it'd be the structure, like the harmony and the melody,
and then he'd write the rest
of the words. Like a lot of times, and perform it.
Was there any desire in you to sing your own stuff?
Yeah, I think so, but yeah, definitely. I think that's why I ended up doing it eventually. I think, I hit a point at some point where I was like, I don't want it. Because it was also giving it, my friend James is like quite a producer, but in our youth, he'd always produce the things the way he wanted them to be. And it just hit a point where I was like, cool, like, as close as we are, we're very different in our aesthetics in a lot of way. So at a certain point, I got just sick of my songs being changed into something else.
So were you doing any solo shows?
No, I would play like open mics when I was in college, and that was like a really scarring experience.
Cruel audiences?
It's just like, man, it's hard to sing in front of people, and just had a couple times where I felt like it bombed, and I was like, after one, it was like, man, I never want to do that again. It was cool, but I would just sing for myself. I just did it all for myself, really. I would be like recording my own things, but just kind of doing it for myself. Okay.
Did you have to like build up confidence being up on stage by yourself?
Yeah.
How did you work on that? Just the repetition of it?
I mean, I've only been playing as the Big Eater band. We've only been playing for a year and a half.
Okay.
I don't know. It just had eventually happened where I was like, cool, I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I always just never wanted to do it. I started recording music under that name. I started just basically recording my own music when I was in Seattle, where I just finally hit the point where it's like, man, it was like another thing with writing all this music for the dogs was I would write a ton of songs and we'd only use like a few, even though we recorded a bunch of them sometimes because it didn't really fit in the general thing. And then just at a certain point, I was like, man, I'm like sick of like writing these songs that I think are good. And then they just, no one's going to ever hear them. And it's like, I want to start doing my own things.
George Harrison said the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love George too. I mean, I love all those guys. But yeah, so it just started by kind of making EPs on my own.
Okay. And how was that? You said you were just recording them on your own and releasing stuff? Yeah,
I would just record it all on my own. I'd play everything but the drums. I'm not a very good drummer, and I like having good drums. But yeah, I would just kind of play it. Just having fun. It was really great. It was really cool having done that so much with my friends James and Pete. And our friend Rivka, too, is also in the band for so long. And then eventually doing it on my own. And I just, like, learned so much more, so much quicker.
You were still in Seattle when you started? Or
I was in Seattle when I started recording them on my own.
Okay.
Yeah. I recorded the first 3 Big Eater EPs there.
Okay. And what was it that you decided to do, like, a group name as opposed to going under your own name?
I can't remember. I don't like going under my own name it's funny I say that because I just released a record under my own name and I'm going to release another soon, but they're these ambient records.
Okay.
And I don't know why I put those under my own name.
To distinguish from?
Well, I think why I like using a group name for things, I have a couple things I write for. Like the Big Eater project, and I have a project called Pachanga, that's more jazzier things. But what I like about those project names is it kind of gives them a life of their own. And yeah, it just becomes their own thing. It doesn't like none of the music I feel like I make like truly reflects the whole of myself or something. Which is funny that I'd put the ambient stuff under my own name. But I think I do that because I don't want to necessarily, that music I make out of just, I don't know why I make that music. But I just do, and I really like doing it. And I don't want that necessarily to, I almost want to make that as low key as possible, where it's like, hey, just here you go. I'm not like, it's like, I don't even know. I can't really put into words exactly.
Does ambient stuff creep into the Big Eater?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the next record's going to have, like, a good amount of that stuff. Yeah. I've been pretty obsessed with that music, like, pretty recently. Okay. So, yeah, I think all of the music creeps in different ways. Yeah.
So tell me how about the in-between, getting the songs together, the process.
That one, I had just moved to New York. I basically wrote all the songs within the first month or two of having moved.
And that's the first full
length. Yeah. I just started writing songs and there was no intention for it to be a full length or anything. I actually thought I was going to make an EP at the start. But I got here and I didn't have a lot to do. Yeah. And I was pretty lonely. And yeah, I needed, like, I was like, when I was in Seattle, I was playing in 3 bands, and my time was much more. It's just like when you're established in a place, your day has a rhythm, and like, yeah, you have all these there's a social rhythm to your life, but when you move somewhere new, it's a new rhythm that you have to almost develop, and I hadn't developed. And I just ended up writing a bunch of music, and at some point I was like, cool, I think I'm going to make a full length out of this.
You wrote more than you recorded? Or more that's on an album?
No, I think all the songs actually. Wait, no, I think all of them are on there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or there's one I wrote that I didn't record. I mean, it's weird because like the way I write is like I never write a whole song right there in the moment. Most of the time it's just cataloging ideas, and sometimes the ideas are like fully fleshed melodies with harmony, and sometimes they're just little tidbits that I'll work on later. So I'm writing a ton of things, but some of them like I'll record and catalog knowing that like it's like, cool, I don't think this is good enough. Okay. But I'm still going to record it because I think it's good enough to catalog, and maybe I'll come back to it in a month and be like, whoa, this is good enough. But I never write the words on the moment. Okay. It's something I can't do. Or it's maybe I choose not to do. Okay. Maybe I could do. I don't know.
When you're writing in that concentrated of a period, is there like a similarity in themes or?
Yeah, I mean, that record's that's like a breakup record. Okay. It's a pretty like deep one. Yeah, I had been in like a 4-year relationship before then that I moved. Actually, when I moved to New York, I hadn't broken up yet. It was basically that whole year. It was kind of like a long breakup. Okay. From just kind of like some long distance. And I mean, it was pretty much all encompassing my mind for that year and for like a little while after that. So that was like all I could really write about. And also I tend to like just love pop music that's like about love. Like, it made it really easy to write words because it's like, cool, I have this thing that feels important to me. It's like much harder now, which is cool. I'm actually much happier about that. And I think I'm writing better words. Okay. Where I don't have like, there's not like this one moment that I'm like, cool, everything's about this moment. But yeah. Okay. So they're all kind of tied like that. And I'd written them all within that month or month or two. And they all just kind of tied together very naturally.
And that came out late last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny. Yeah, it came out like a year ago. Like it came out October 30th last year, which is but I've had it. It's been finished for a long time. I finished it in March of that year that it came out. So
okay. Did it come out like you wanted it to?
Yeah, sure. Like the way it sounds.
Yeah. Like, are you happy with it?
Yeah, I'm really proud of it. I think with music that I make, I try not to listen to it much after it's out because it feels almost like masturbatory in some ways where I'm just like, I don't like, and also I feel like listening to music is so like, that's, it's like we were talking about practicing earlier. And to me, like, that's like the form of practice that I'm really good at is listening to like lots of music and listening really deeply. And I feel like I'm not gaining a ton from listening my own music over and over again, but I am gaining a lot more when I'm listening to someone else's stuff. So I like purposely don't have it on my iPod. I like just purposely don't play it that much because I listen to it so much when I'm making it, and I listen to it a lot when it's done too. As just like, just kind of feel good. You're like, man, let me put that on. I was like, cool. That feels really good. Yeah. But, I'm like totally happy with it. I'm always basically, I've never been unhappy with something I've made. I mean, I don't look back on them. Like there's some things I wouldn't necessarily want to show someone today because it's not really reflective of who I am at this moment, but it was reflective of who I was at the moment. And I kind of feel that way about In Between too, where it's like, I'm totally proud of that. I didn't feel any, it's weird to describe it that way, but I feel no, like I just came off a month tour and I felt no problems selling their tape, even though we don't play any of the music from it.
I noticed that when I saw you perform.
It just, I think performing just changed things so much because when you're playing things live, you start to realize what you want to actually play and say and what things maybe you don't want to do. And for the first while of the band, we were playing only music from there, but it's been a while and we're ready for a new record. So just kind of playing all the new stuff because it's fun.
and maybe I should save this for my introduction, but I love this album, dude.
Oh, cool.
Really,
thank you so much.
Yes. Like, it's gonna be. I mean, it came out last year, but it'll be one of my favorite albums this year.
Oh, thank you.
For sure. Like, I find myself waking up, I'm like humming.
Oh,
songs.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
So kudos for making a really great album too. So are you writing stuff for the next album? Is that what you're gearing up for?
We just started recording it. There's like 13 pieces. And lyrics are always come later. I'm getting better at doing it quicker, but there's still like 4. So of the 13, there's still 4 that need words, a totality of words. But it's cool. Like as I get older, I'm getting better at understanding. I think In Between was such an awesome learning experience because I focused in on it so much and toiled over it so much, and I learned a lot about how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's just like, so like one thing I've really learned, it's like, cool, words come to me much better when I'm in motion, when I'm like walking or on my bike. But I don't like to write them on my bike because actually there's the first song on this new record. It's a song it's pretty funny. It's like, it's about kind of being overwhelmed by New York. Yeah. And their refrain's like just, I'm stuck in drive. And I would write that while I was biking. And the 2 times I finished it after a second ride, but the 2 rides I had while I was writing that song, I got in accidents.
Oh, really?
And it was just like,
you're like zoned out.
Well, it's like sometimes one was just a taxi cab, just kind of it wasn't that bad. That first one, they just doored me, and I didn't even totally follow. I just got my hand pretty bad. But it's just, it's so ironic because it's like about like this place being too much, and then like,
but the song will hurt you.
Yeah, the second one they really got me. It was just like this. I was going around a bus, and this car tried to go around me and just knocked me down. And, I finished it on like the walk after that, like crash, and it was just like cool. Like I can't write lyrics while I'm biking anymore. It's like too dangerous.
Is the sound, you've worked out how the sound's going to be? Is it similar to the In Between, or?
I think it's going to be pretty different. In Between was more guitar based. I think all the music I'm going to make is going to sound, there's always going to be like some core of it being me, you know? So I don't think if you liked In Between, you're going to be like, dude, what the hell is this new record? Like, what were you doing? But I think In Between one thing that was really cool. I think my focus was much wider at that moment. Just being like, I think I'd moved to New York. I'd come from Seattle, where I was just playing in quieter bands. And in New York, the band, The Dogs, which became this band Happy You that we play in now, we were playing louder music. I was around a lot of louder music. And I wanted to like rebel against loudness, which isn't much of a rebellion in some ways. But so I just think the overriding like theme of In Between is like, I just want to be kind of chill, which is like, I know I say it now, I'm like, God, but
like, come down from that.
Yeah, I just think it was like cool. I want to make something that's like not so amped up. But this one, the focus is much deeper. Just because it's mostly just from growing up, having done that. It's like, and just having been a part of like a lot of records with other bands I play in, and it's just like cool. I really want to focus on the sounds. I just want the things I do. I have listened In Between like maybe a year after I finished it, and I really like took note of things that I didn't like about it. And it was just kind of, not this, and it's not like saying like, oh, I think it's great, but it's like, man, the things I really wanted to change. I think it was even like almost like a year ago, I was on a tour out west with another band I play in called Vagabog, and I was just, before I'd even written any songs, I was writing just all these ideas I really wanted for the record, and I basically just want to be way more focused. I want like the instrumentation to be this. It's funny because like I write songs for piano and for guitar. This new record has way more piano songs than the first one did. And less guitar, but it's like, so there's always going to be this kind of divide. It's going to always be like kind of eclectic, but I just wanted the sounds to be more focused, not like every song's like a whole new world of sounds. I want it to kind of have more of an umbrella feel, and not to say it's like gonna be boring or something, but just something just way more focused. I think of like my favorite records, and they all feel very focused.
Okay.
And I've just gotten really obsessed with space and kind of minimal arranging. So, and I just wanted to be like more thought through in the arrangement going into it. The way I arranged in between was I would pull up the track, I'd record guitar, and then I'd just record a bunch of parts of it. I wasn't really thinking so much, which is cool. It's really fun to do it that way. But this one I want to be, I don't want to like arrange as I go as much. I want to kind of like, I have like a grander idea of what I want. Just like, and also, I don't know.
So you mentioned some favorite albums. What were those, or were there albums that inspired this album?
I think like the ones that really inspired In Between, I was like towards the end, I was really obsessed with the Yellow Tango record, and then Nothing turned itself inside out. And I felt like I looked to that record as this really eclectic record that was also very relaxed and chill, but also that record's like it has very much a lot of qualities of like a breakup record. Okay. I look to that a lot. But I think for the new stuff,
post breakup.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's like, it's cool to like talk about it. When I made In Between, I was like obsessed with listening to interviews. I listened to because I had this delivery job, and I just had a lot of time to listen to stuff. So I listened to just so many Terry Gross interviews, so many Mark Maron interviews. Yeah, they're both so great. But like, I think, when you're doing that, I'm like, I'll be dragging the boxes around. I was like delivering vegetables, and I'd be taking the pallet around, and I'd be like answering like questions, like I'm posing to myself. And it's funny to talk about. I
do that too.
Yeah, it's really fun. I feel like everyone must do that. I think there's a line in like one of my old like songs about just like having a fake interview with yourself in the mirror. But it's just funny to like now talk about the record a year later when I don't really like. It's like, oh man, like it's too bad I didn't talk about it right away when I finished it, when I was like so focused in. But I can't even remember what's the albums that I'm focused in on now. I mean, there was just like a couple that really came out that I don't even know at this point. There's a record by a friend's band called Lightning. They're called Lightning Bug, and the record's called Floaters. And there's just something, that record has such a vibe to it. And the vibe that I really love about that record is they have these elements that they've run through like just a 4-track. Okay. So they'll have this deep hiss on just like, the rest of the song isn't recorded on it, but there'll be just this deep hiss on this one element. And you're just like, wow, it sounds so good. There's such a vibe to it. And that's something I'm definitely like, just kind of like, I don't know.
Okay, is it Lightning
Bug?
Okay, Floater.
Yeah, Floaters.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's good.
You have an idea when your album's going to come out?
No, it's just still, it's still in that. Well, I'm still at that period of life where like you finish a record and then you have to try to find someone to put it out, which is cool. It's like it's nice, but I'm about to, on Monday, I'm leaving on tour with another band I'm in called Megabog. Okay. And then when we get back on like in the beginning of November, I've rented out a project studio here for a month. So I'm hoping to finish tracking it in that month, which is, I will see. I don't think I will be able to, but so and then I always mix my own records. So I can't really imagine myself being done with it before like March. Okay. And then just, I don't know. I'll send it to you before it's out. And that's one of my favorite things to do.
Definitely. So a good place for people to check you out online, or where you can go?
The Bandcamp's, I think, bigeater.bandcamp.com. But I have a website called mattbachmann.com. And that kind of has all the music that I make in under one umbrella, I guess, which it makes it easier to like find.
Okay, great
stuff.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah,
this is wonderful.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Sure.
to keep me safe from all these thoughts I'm having, keeping me away. And I suppose I was only growing up. And I don't know these things in love I can't control. And I suppose I was only growing up. And I don't know. New room filled with old things, portraits of the West, but all these pictures of you don't seem real enough. You could make me happy, but you can't keep me safe. And all these thoughts I'm having make it so I can't sleep. Just wanna start taking it slow, finding the flow. But when it's outside and I have no place to hide, I'm stuck. How to make this my home and still feel in control. But this river's running wild, and all I wanna do is float a while. I'm stuck in trap. I'm stuck in trap. I'm stuck in trap.
And that was Drive, new music from Big Eater, a TMT exclusive. Before that, two from In Between, Growing Up in Lazy Days. If you want the In Between album, go to Big Eater, bigeater.bandcamp.com. You should definitely own it. And also, don't forget Matt's personal website, Matt W. Bachmann, BACHMANN.com. thisisboyce.com. I am online several places, talkmusictalk.com for more information on the podcast. I have another website, thisisboyce.com. You can check out my music and books because I make music and I write books. And if you are on Twitter or Instagram, you can follow me at thisisboyce. Don't forget the call to action. Please share this episode on social media if you enjoyed it. There is nothing like a personal recommendation shared on your feed that people respond to. Also, don't forget the survey, talkmusictalk.com/survey. And finally, download the Talk Music Talk app wherever you get your apps. It is free for iPhone and Android, or you can subscribe to the podcast on Google Play or iTunes. And I am steadily adding shows to SoundCloud, so search for Talk Music Talk there. And make sure you leave a rating and or review wherever you listen to the podcast because it helps spread the word about the show. And I have a back catalog suggestion for you. Episode number 46, Roni's Insomnia. It is the solo project of Roni Corcos. Dark pop, dark mature pop, if you like that type of thing. She's a brilliant Jerusalem-born singer-songwriter based in Brooklyn. You should check her out. That's episode number 46, Roni's Insomnia. Thank you so much for listening to this episode with Matt Bachmann, Big Eater, episode 105. Thank you so much. Till next time, and there will be a next time. This one's for you, Liz.